back. Salutations, people of YouTube. Welcome to my channel. I'm Mishe Jindu or Zinyati, and this is Saturday Real Talk Real Estate. And today's video is going to be a part 2 on the video I did last week talking about mandates. So if you haven't already, I strongly encourage you to go back to that video and get the introduction to this 3-part series. Today, we're going to be taking the plunge into uncovering SOR mandates. So subscribe for real, like this video, share this video, and let's get to it. Open mandates, efficient army structure, or gladiatorial bloodbaths, or none of the above, or all of the above. Let's find out what is an open mandate. In real estate, an open mandate is an official order from a property owner to a real estate agent to sell a property or rent out a property on their behalf. Or the marketing work, promotion work, and the work needed to qualify any prospective buyer. The key differentiating factor of an open mandate to all other mandates is the fact that an open mandate is open, in the sense that the property owner is allowed to commission as many agents and agencies as he or she desires. There's absolutely nothing stopping you from commissioning every single agent and agency in a 200-kilometer radius from your property, except the marginal utility of doing it and the desire of the agents to do it. In my previous introductory video, I put both mandates on a spectrum of best case scenario to worst case scenario. And for open mandates, the best case scenario was that you are getting an army who put all their energy in ensuring that they sell your property for the best price possible, completely selfless and unified to your goals. And on the opposing worst case scenario, we saw it as a gladiatorial bloodbath. Agents are completely selfish animals who don't really care about you and only care about the mighty dollar. So both these cases are the absolute best case scenario and the absolute worst case scenario, but where exactly is the most probable place you end up? Probably right smack or closer to the center. I won't talk for every agent out there, but in my personal opinion, I personally believe most agents are neither money-crazed animals, for the most part, or charities. We're not just looking to do things for our own personal gain, but at the same time, I'm also not going to do something for nothing. Dear sir or madam, I am a business. In line with the cohesive army extreme, I'm on your team and I want us to have an overwhelming victory. Your gain is my gain. And in line with the gladiatorial extreme, I don't like other agents that much. Besides you and me, any other agent in this dynamic is competition, not an ally. Fact. And this hybrid of extreme situation creates a weird dynamic. On one side, I'm on your team, I want us to sell your property for the highest price possible, but at the same time, I'm worrying about all these other agents involved in the special thing you and me got, and the more agents are involved in that special thing, the less special it becomes. And the less special it becomes, the less hardworking I become. Because I can't just focus on getting you the best results, I also have to focus on all the wolves surrounding me. But as I mentioned in part 1, every mandate has a purpose. My personal, also very humble 99.9% chances I'm always correct opinion, there's a 3-point criteria that every homeowner who wants to partake in an open mandate has to carry out before they can carry it out properly. Number 1, your open mandate is an open mandate. Don't treat it like a SOR mandate. Sounds basic, sounds simple, but most of you don't do it. The one key differentiating factor from a SOR mandate to an open mandate that changes the dynamic of pros and cons is that you can have more than one agent on your team. And the fact that most agents will assume they're not the only person on your team. As a benefit, you have more agents and agencies exposing your property. As a negative, most agents aren't going to work on your property as much as they would if it was a SOR mandate. That's the balance going on here. So if you have one agent who thinks there's more than one agent on your team, he's not going to work as hard and you're not exposing your property as hard. I've come across a few situations where someone wants an open mandate but has no intention of going through the bureaucracy of hiring more than one agent, or the paperwork, or the meetings, and all the discussions, because there'll be a lot of them. But if you do that, you're not exactly hacking the open mandate system, you're pretty much just getting a budget SOR mandate system. Your one agent isn't working as hard, and your property is only being exposed by one agent. So rule number 1, get more than one agent, probably between 3 to 5. Balance out the lack of effort with overexposure. On to rule number 2. Everything is on the clock. A lack of urgency equals a lack of action. For both the concept of an open mandate and the agents within the open mandate, there's a start date and an expiry date. For an example, you as a property owner looking to sell or rent out your property via an open mandate need to set exactly how long do you want to run the open mandate contract before you switch it out for a SOR mandate. as well as setting how long do you want each agent in the open mandate roster being in the open mandate roster. So in theory, you might want to test out the open mandate concept for 5 months while having 3 agents on a 2-month rotation. So after every 2 months, you get 3 new agents, and after the ultimate 5 months, you switch to a sole mandate. You're doing this for a few reasons. 1, you want to keep hungry lions in your roster, and 2, you want to get rid of sleeping lions. As I mentioned, open mandate is a numbers balancing game. You can't just keep adding agents into your roster, because the more agents you have, the more tedious it becomes for you, and the less performing the agents become. So what you're trying to do is pull out the weeds of the low performance and only keep a select few high-performing agents. And at the end of the day, if you find one who you really like and outperforms everyone else, make him your sole mandate. And finally, the number 3 Zenyati rule of open mandates is this: start with a sole mandate. Listen, I'm not gonna hide the fact that I'd prefer to be in a sole mandate situation than an open mandate situation any day of the week. But for you, if you're absolutely fixed on an open mandate, starting with a sole mandate is the best thing to do, irregardless. Even if you just have the sole mandate contract open for 1 month. For one thing, you're more likely to find an overachieving agent in a sole mandate than an open mandate. And when that happens, you can gauge performance for how you'd want your agents to act in an open mandate. The problem with diving headfirst in an open mandate first is that when it's done correctly, you have a lot of admin work to get up to with regard to measuring whether or not the agents are performing well to begin with. It's easier to measure the performance of one agent first, how they do their meetings, how they run their open houses, how they act, and how they promote your property, instead of doing it for 3 to 5 agents in one go. But as I said before, you're probably going to have to dial down your expectations from a sole mandate agent to an open mandate agent, but that doesn't mean open mandate agents should be doing nothing at all. Learn the ropes with one agent, measure the other agents, and kick out those who don't perform and keep those who do. And those are my tips of making the most of it with open mandates. Run an open mandate like an open mandate, not a sole mandate. Everything is on a timer, and start with a sole mandate first. Capiche? Alright. Tune in next week when I talk about the best and worst, when and where for sole mandates. Until then, I've been your host, Ishe Jindu or Zenyati. Subscribe for real, like this video, share this video. Ishe Jindu at ivafrica.com if you want to put your home on the market. Peace.